Test. All right, we got green light. Go, go, go. All right, YouTube is green. Oh gosh. Let's bring up the hrefs and let's bring up. Why not? Why not? Just curious what this looks like. How's it going, everyone on YouTube? Just gonna make sure we're live here, and then we'll get into it here. Oh, we got a new video. Hello. Are we green light or no? Says we're green light. Well, let me know if anyone's alive on the stream there. Is my YouTube gonna work? Maybe it's a second. There we go. Our green light. Green light on YouTube. All right. Let's do an audio test. Audio test. Okay, cool. We're good. That's good. And the last thing I can look at here is, oh yeah, there we go. So, this is a nice view actually. This is very, very nice. Cool. Let's go live. Green light. Yeah, I mean, we can keep it on the winter storms, but definitely gonna be looking at the winter storms a little bit more. Actual water here. What's going on, guys? We're gonna go live here. I've got an absolute boatload of questions about the Pacific Northwest and the rainfall. So I figured I'd hop on live here and answer some common questions that have been going on, because of course we're getting a lot of questions about confidence in the forecast and also impacts, and I have this all laid out for you. So we got a lot of resources here to talk about many things, and I just wanted to hop on and answer some questions, because right now we have a post that's 130,000 views, a little bit more than that now, that has been getting a lot of questions about stuff. So I wanted to talk about, of course I could talk about a little bit about the winter storm that is coming to the northern United States and the northeast United States as well. So don't be afraid to ask those questions. I'm trying to focus on kind of those two main stories: is the snowfall coming out of the northern United States, but also the rain story. That we're having a huge amount of rain from this atmospheric river that is currently intruding the Pacific Northwest. So I wanted to kind of talk about both of those. So feel free to ask about any type of question among those topics as well. Colin with our first question of the stream. Congratulations, Colin, for being the first question. Can you check out on the winter storm for Long Island this weekend? Yes. I think I already know the answer for you. Unfortunately, just a little too far south again, Colin, to receive snowfall. So don't really be expecting any snowfall for this weekend, though. If you're talking about a little bit more longer term, I can look a little bit further on. I can tell you forecast confidence is going to be a little bit less, just because we have such a fast moving kind of time frame here. And even looking into this weekend, it will be, I think you do have a chance for snow, talking about this weekend. This is for your Saturday. So snow, maybe Saturday, maybe some accumulation. I'd say 1 to 2 inches max, but again, that is a subject to change depending on our exact. It looks like there's going to be a clipper. I think the cold air is going to be in place. So maybe some accumulation snowfall. Finally, I can tell you for Long Island, Colin. Hopefully you enjoyed that forecast. Will there be snow in eastern Oregon? We need it. Well, we can look at the snowfall forecast for you guys as well, and it really depends on how high you guys are. Unfortunately, only higher elevations are going to get that snowfall. You can see where our snowfall is kind of located right around the mountains here. And just unfortunately not going to get lucky enough to see snowfall. Not going to get cold enough at the surface to see snowfall at the surface. However, anywhere central and west of the Washington and Oregon state, these are the areas I'm very worried about for snowfall. 3,000 feet, yeah, unfortunately, Barbara, I just think it's going to be too low for snowfall. There's going to be a lot of rain, depending on your exact location in Washington. In eastern Oregon, and eastern Oregon as well. If you take a look here, really not just a little bit up in the really high elevations, higher up than Baker City. Unfortunately, just not looking good for snowfall chances. So again, guys, I appreciate you all being here. We got 100 people just joined up, so let's see if we can hit a quick 1,000 likes. And if you guys are excited for the stream, main reason for the stream is I want to talk about two kind of main stories. We got winter storm that's sweeping across the United States. This will be impacting a lot of people. This is from right now and through Thursday. Snowfall rates through Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, up through New England and Pennsylvania. all these areas could see some significant snowfall. And additionally, our another number 2, or I put this at number 1 story. This is a very high flood threat. So we have an experimental flood forecast out. This is an experimental tool by the National Weather Service. They're giving a considerable threat tag for flash flooding within, and flooding in general within this dark blue polygon. And then also a limited flooding threat, very possible within the lighter blue. Might be hard to see, but lighter blue I'm circling with my mouse. How's it going, Tufts Weather? Good to have you here. And I appreciate the donation. So let me answer some questions about that. We got wind out in the Pacific Northwest as well. We got a lot of chat about. I want to get through some of your guys' questions about some of these high impact weather events for your upcoming week. All right, let's start off with the north coast of Oregon. North coast of Oregon, especially if you're coastal, you could be seeing that rain. Portland, you're projected to see 4 inches on top of what you've already received today. Thank you, Tufts, for the 10 roses. And here's your kind of breakdown of how much rain you might see. So actual Portland, Oregon there, I don't think you have the super significant flood risk. We actually look at the flood risk. You do have a flood risk. Thank you, David, for the follow. Welcome to the Rainy Day Weather family. I am just worried for the general region, though. So if we take a look at the current, this is all the rivers across the region, especially the Pacific Northwest, and the kind of forecast we're talking about for rainfall. And take note of all these purple polygons, purple squares. Those are forecasted for major flood stage. Some of these forecasts could reach close to the all-time record for height or flow level. So we're talking about a significant flooding event within this region. And Seattle is getting an atmospheric river. That's another area I am concerned about. You guys are in a flood watch for this entire week. Some of your rivers nearby, and here's a river nearby that's going to peak at 59 feet. That's 1 foot over major storm stage, major flood stage, and just a few feet shy of its all-time record. So an extreme atmospheric river. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of comments on my previous post about, this is interesting too, because I did the math. This forecast is calling for 5 trillion gallons of water to fall on this region over the next 5 days. And we took the math by doing a general kind of scope of the land, then also taking the average rainfall of about 6 inches across this corridor here. And that comes around 8 trillion, but I was a bit conservative on the predicted amount, and saying about 5 trillion gallons of water is forecasted to fall. So an extreme amount of water. And that's why we have flood watches out for this region. So I know this region does get a lot of rain. I can say that for sure. But this is a lot of rain. We're talking about some rivers coming close to their all-time highs. And if people live in these floodplains, they need to know about this severe weather, this flash flooding. So that's why the main posts have been out. That's why I'm here to answer your guys' questions. I'm very nervous about the Pacific Northwest being overconfident and being possibly overconfident about being prepared for this, and then being taken by surprise when you get 10 inches of rain falling over the next just 5 days, and then you have major issues. That's my biggest concern. And man, this is honestly one of the biggest events I've seen where we've had overconfidence with the local populations here as well. We can look at our maximum kind of predicted snow or rainfall, and we'll go 90%. I think that's pretty reasonable for 90%. Even just the mean, and we're talking about widespread plus 7 inches. You can see my cursor and the number of values there. There's 5, there's 7, there's 6, there's 5, there's 8, there's 9, and even some of those 10s in here as well. I mean, these are the areas I'm very, very concerned about. And sorry I'm not answering snow questions just yet, guys. Don't worry, I'll get there in a little bit. But yeah, Tough Weather says 6-7. But yeah. That's why we're live right now to answer you guys' questions. I do believe it has the potential to be a high-impact event. Unfortunately, there seems to be a disillusion with the forecast. A lot of people have been just commenting, honestly, very, very meanly, which is fine, on my account of this is literally happening every day. Seattle only receives about 5 inches of rain for the entire month. Their forecast said it will reach almost 4 inches of rain. So almost a month's worth of rain in just 5 days, 4 days. That is noteworthy by many means. So let me go back to, seems like we got a lot of people's snow. Just while I'm on this map, do we have any questions about rainfall? I'm on DESI right now, on National Weather Service. Any questions about rainfall or impacts? Additionally, we're going to have high wind alerts out here. And kind of last little thing I put up on your map here is weather alerts out for the entire country right now. We got winter weather alerts down Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. We got the start of our next snowstorm winter weather alerts out in northern Minnesota, northern North Dakota, and northern Wisconsin there, including Iowa. And then these yellows are really high wind. They're high wind warnings, so very high winds, possibly 50 to 70 mile per hour winds across the northern plains as well. So there we go. Rainfall in Portland. We're talking about a very high amount of rain for Portland. I put you in that 3 to 5 inch range for solid rain, and then outside of Portland, runoff wise, some of your ridges could see plus 10 inches of rain. That's why we're extremely concerned about water being stacked up, the ground getting very saturated, and big problems coming to the region. How much more snow in Chicago, Illinois? Okay, now I can answer some snowfall questions. Seems like we're getting mainly snowfall. It's Aiden saying, can we get Redmond? Oh wait, we got a Washington question. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna favor that just for a second. So Redmond, let me see if I can get the exact spot. But yeah, I am very worried that we have an overconfidence issue, and people are not preparing, or at least not being aware of the flood risk in Oregon and in Washington. And for Redmond, let's go over to our modeling map, which is, I have so many tabs open, I have to remember it's this one. See if I have this exact one. Maybe not. It's close. Here's a nearby river, might be a feeder. But you can see even the nearby river. Here is this. So yeah, this is. Oh my gosh, you guys have such hard rivers to pronounce. Snoqualmie River. You see, it is getting very close to, like, it is forecast to get very close to record forecast. And some of these areas, that is major. By Fall City, that this is also major forecast. I mean, you can see just the drastic rise that is forecasted for these regions. A very, very rapid rise. Especially overnight tonight, I think it's when the highest rainfall is going to happen. All right, there is another question answered about specifically flooding. How do we prepare for flooding? Well, number one, Gabs, is a great way to be weather aware. You can look up your local floodplains. If you look at your local community guidelines for your floodplains, see if you live in a floodplain. This is, you want to be prepared for this. And, oops, looks like I accidentally tabbed out. There we go. You want to be prepared for this. And being aware is a big step. So being aware, so when you get a warning on your phone for flash flooding or just flooding in general, you can prepare. And number two, please do not drive through flooded roadways at all. I mean, there only takes about a foot of water to float your car and disable it. So please do not tempt fate. Turn around, don't drown. And just be weather aware. If you live in a flood prone area, when you get the warnings or when you get alerts to leave or alerts to seek higher ground, you need to do it quickly. You need to make sure you have a way about protecting yourself from these floods, especially with rivers and some of these tributaries that are forecasted to get very close to all-time highs. Here's Cowlitz River at Randall. I mean, you can see this one's forecasted just to be about 1 foot below its all-time record high, and that's why I am so concerned about it. Tough Weather says, do I live stream at my dorm or my house? I actually live off campus, so I do live stream at my house, I guess. All right. Let's see if we have any more questions specifically about... Oh, yeah, Gabs. Yeah, the driving one actually can take a lot of people by surprise. A good chunk of unfortunate fatalities from flash flooding and flooding in general is people actually driving their car into the water. So, gotta be careful. Your room looks like a dorm? Yeah, it kind of does. It's college living, right? Just for example how fast these rivers can really rise. This is Gray's River at Covered Bridge near Rossburg. And take a look. This river has risen about 4 feet over the past just 4 hours. So a very rapid rise in river height. And you can see we're still expecting another 3 feet out of this. So we went from no flash flood or no flood phase to action phase to minor flood phase, about to reach moderate flood phase, and major flood phase is projected. So you have to be careful. Major is the highest level of flooding, and that's where you get extreme, extensive inundation of structures and roads, significant evacuations of people, or transfers of property to higher elevations. And we have a lot of those purples. The years are kind of key here. Major, moderate, minor action. And you can see a lot of purples, a lot of reds, and a lot of oranges across a lot of these areas. Roseburg? Okay, yes. Cool. Thank you for correction, Sylvia. How much snow for Martinsville, Virginia? Well, additional snow, probably going to shut off pretty soon here. So I'd say not too much more on top of, if someone's already fallen, not too much more on top of the actual system is exiting the region. How's floods for Gresham? Let me look. Gresham, Oregon. Another area I am concerned about your flooding as well. So let's take a look at our river projection. Let's switch into this region. Oh yeah, actually you already have a flash flood warning in the western portions of you guys, kind of west in the Johnson Creek. Johnson Creek is forecasted to reach a minor to moderate flood stage, and you can see right now Johnson Creek is currently sitting at 2.83 feet of height. By tonight, and by tomorrow afternoon, I should say, it's forecast to be 12 feet. So a 10-foot rise in just a tiny amount of time, just a day. That's why we're so concerned. These other tributaries kind of nearby, Sandy River, also projected to reach action phase. You see, currently sitting at 12 feet, projected to reach 18.67 feet. The actual other rivers here, the Columbia River looks like, you are projected to get, a decent amount of additional flow. It looks like we're pretty far away from actual action phase. Actually, do they even have action phase designated on this river? Oh, yes, they do. Wait. Yeah, they do, but it's 15 feet. Okay, so pretty far away from action phase. Just keep in mind, we do have those flash or just flood watches out there. These are just forecasts, and actually isolated water and isolated river flowing isolated high rainfall events are very hard to predict. We're talking about just the tiny amount of change in exact banding of rain can change the entire narrative. If you guys remember the rainfall back in 4th of July in Texas, that was just one rain band that trained over the same area. And we knew something like that was going to happen. Very heavy rain is possible, but knowing exactly down to the mile where that rain falls and what valley it goes into, it is basically impossible to say. That's why this entire area is underneath a flood watch. Just so you know that, hey, if we get banding right here in this region, we could see very, very high flood rates, very rapid rise in water, and we want you to be weather aware once you have those alerts on. So if that does happen, hopefully not in your region, but if it does, you're prepared. Tufts Weather with a great question saying, what's an atmospheric river event? Well, to answer that, let's go to a little bit of a bigger view. Let's see if we can, oh yeah, this is perfect. Let's see if we can get some water vapor. We'll do lower water vapor. So we'll let this load. This is satellite imagery, so once we get this up, it'll kind of show us the full picture. Not really windy at all with this wind warning. Is everything underperforming on wind? Taylor, the actual main wind of the system is still a bit off coast. You're going to have two pulses. One's going to be overnight into tomorrow afternoon. So overnight, starting kind of late tonight. That's going to be a big pulse and tapering off a little bit later afternoon. Pulse of wind and rain. And then there's going to be another pulse kind of Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon. That one's a little bit less sure. But kind of looking at this, you can see this is what's called an atmospheric river. Actually, see if we can take a little bit more of a zoomed out look, maybe. Oh gosh, it's not going to be giving the previews. I have to do a little bit of guessing. Maybe it's this one. I want a big zoomed out outlook because it really shows you what an atmospheric river is. It is really windy in northern North Carolina. Yeah, you got a system right off your coast there. Okay, yes, perfect. Okay, so just a little lay of the land here. This is infrared satellite. This is basically telling us, hey, where is there water, where is there not water, with the green and blues being water, green being the most water, and the reds and yellows being dry air. Oh no, did I say PWN? No, not PWN, PNW. Well, while I'm fixing that, notice how the actual shape of that is kind of river-like, right? You see like this banding of it literally looks like a river. That is a very high concentration of water that's basically sitting in the jet stream. So the jet stream, the very high, think of the jet stream as a very fast-moving wind above us, very high up in the air. And sometimes this jet stream basically converges and collects water from the Pacific Northwest, or excuse me, from the Pacific Ocean. if this all converges and lines up into a nice river, it's like an arrow shooting right into the one region. So it's a giant arrow of a package of moisture. This moisture then slams into the higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest. This then rises this extremely moisture-rich air, in which, if you don't know, if you rise air, it cools down. Cooler air cannot hold as much water as warmer air, so then it condenses and it falls down either in the form of rain or snow, depending on elevation for this one. And that's kind of the full gist. As these come in pulses, this is rainy weather season, but notice how long and directed this actual atmospheric river is. Sometimes these are a little bit bendy and not focused, but because this one is so focused and very long in nature, it's going to last 5 days, and it's very, very strong. It's very potent. Lots of water in the atmosphere. That's why, this usually isn't a concern. It's very normal for this to happen, but because it is of this strength, that is why I am more nervous about this one. That's why the National Weather Service have issued those flood watches as well. So it's kind of like a hurricane without low pressure and a straight line. Kind of. The actual mechanics are, more converging wind, less synoptic driven. I guess, more synoptic driven, but you have basically a funnel effect. Think of it as the air likes to flow around the earth kind of in a west to east version. There is a kind of blocking ridge right here, so think of it like all the air wants to go this way, but where is it going? You can actually see that exact funnel. You can see funnel coming in right here and a funnel coming in right here, and that's all just right through there into the Pacific Northwest. Giant atmospheric river. You might have heard it called the Pineapple Express before. The actual atmospheric science term now by the National Weather Service is atmospheric river, as I think, in my personal opinion, it describes the phenomenon a bit better, but of course, you do you. Thank you, Jill, for the donation. And Squirrel with a report, our river, I actually was just looking at that. Cowlitz, if I say that correct, Squirrel, is really swollen. I actually have been watching that to keep an eye on. You do have a flash flood risk over there. Do you think PDX is going to get snow this year? I know it's hard to predict. I just want to get a personal opinion. I mean, it is tough because we need cold air, and right now, the problem is we don't have enough cold air in place for that to actually be in the form of precipitation of snow. The higher elevation, that's what's getting snow. But, we need a cold snap. I think we're in a very active time period. I think the biggest puzzle piece we're missing, it is the very cold air. Now, looking at general schemes for, big pattern stuff, unfortunately, the big pattern for your winters with this kind of setup is more warmer but more wet. So it is unfortunately hard to really say. But we'll see exactly how it goes. I have to lean towards high rain, lower snow totals, unfortunately, unless we get some luckiness with actual cold air as well. Okay, so it seemed like I weeded out the people who were asking for snowfall forecasts. Sorry about that, guys, but I really wanted to hop on because, honestly, the posts I've made about the Pacific Northwest getting this atmospheric river, which I was concerned about for flooding, has been one of the most egregious posts for very hateful comments, including someone to threaten me, actually, for just a forecast, too. A rainfall forecast threatened me. So, I wanted to hop on and provide a little bit of personal clarification to this forecast as well. So no snow, only floods and mudslides. Yeah, with this current storm, I'd say definitely more on that side. This reminds me of the 2007 atmospheric river. Oh, man. My weather history. Oh, man, I should not have let refresh happening. But, this is a very potent one. I mean, of course, with this type of storm, localized shifts are so large for what we're talking about here. Because if you get banding over one area, then your neighbor's town could see very bad flooding, but you could not, just because that one area where that valley lays got very heavy rain for a few hours, and then you get a surge of water down the already soaked ground. That's what we're talking about here. It's very hard to forecast. Very challenging, but generally we have high confidence in widespread rain, which is why I'm expressing this forecast in this kind of way here. It's because we're used to heavy rain. We don't realize how intense atmospheric rivers are. Yeah, I do get that. It's tough to communicate too. Of course, you're like, oh, it rains every day here. What is more rain going to do? and then you have a 5-day event where it's a bit more potent than what's climatology normal. Remember 2007, exit 68 and 88 were shut down for 3 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're gonna deal with like a snowfall event here, but they were comparing the storm to the flood of '96. Yeah, I mean that's what we're gonna be keeping an eye on. I think as I continue to watch it as a student meteorologist in my 3rd year here, the biggest thing I like to look at is ground truth. Right, we keep an eye on these river gauges. These are basically our eyes and ears to the ground, especially during the middle of the night. Especially we're going to get that impulse of very heavy rain. It's going to be our first extremely heavy rain for this event overnight. And when you get that, when you get focused rainfall, keep an eye on the river gauges, because usually you can see, okay, this river gauges is alerting. Let's go downstream. Who else is going to see impacts from this as well? Flooding in Centralia and I-5 to pass Ground Mound. So it's going to be at night. Great. Yes. Oh, Hello Kitty. It's actually going to be an event that's going to last from now all the way until Thursday evening into Friday morning. And I think there are impulses. So this thing has a heartbeat overall. I think the first large impulse, which actually I can show you guys on future radar, so I don't have to like try to make you visualize. So here we go. Here's kind of the future radar. Here's Monday, kind of right now. You know, you got some rain, but look at this impulse that kind of comes along overnight. This one right here. So there's a little bit of a pocket of an impulse that has the high wind, that has the very heavy rain, and that slams overnight. So like, for example, this is kind of 2 a.m. overnight, and the highest rainfall rates that have yet to be seen will be seen then. And you get a little bit more of a constant flow, and then another impulse right there. You can see another impulse kind of Wednesday morning, and then maybe another impulse Thursday. But like those two ones are the big ones. Of course, it's going to be raining during most of the time, but when you get that really high impulse, those rainfall rates over 1 inch per hour, that's where you start to get concerned about surprise flooding as well. Yeah, trauma from last year's cyclones. I'm definitely not getting sleep. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I'd say is, first, if you live in a flood-prone area, definitely have that plan in place. And number one, we have lifesavers with us, guys. Please turn on your life-saving alerts from the National Service, from weather alerts, just in case, hey, you go to sleep, you live in a flood-prone area, but you go out, you look at your river, your creek, whatever, it's right next to your house, you're like, you know, it's not that bad, like, how bad can it be? So you go to bed tonight at 9, and then we get an impulse like we've been talking about, and then you wake up to an alert on your phone. Well, then you have a chance to get out of there. But if you don't have an alert on your phone, and they say that creek rises a lot, like the fastest you've ever seen, because some of these are getting towards record forecasts, then of course you have a problem because you have less time. So that's why I really like to say you rather wake up to an alert on your phone than a puddle on the floor for this type of situation as well. It's like someone has a fire hose aimed at us. That's actually a perfect analogy. You can see, look at this giant fire hose stretching all the way from the middle of the Pacific Ocean into the central portions of the country. This is actually this moisture is gonna break off and gonna cause our next winter storm across the northern United States as well. Are there maps to show flood-prone areas? Definitely look up local authorities, especially since you guys get so much rain. If you look up your local community and look up flood plains, those are definitely good ones. Philly, how would we get snow if the highest is like 40? Philly, actually, I'm thinking about snow this coming weekend. Some measurable snowfall finally for your region. That's because it's going to be very cold in the Northeast and Midwest next weekend. We're talking about very, very cold. Lone Starburst says my basement's flooding right now. Oh, man. Can you report where you're at? And if you have a video and like don't mind sharing it, I really hope you can get stuff out of there and get yourself to safety first. But if you have any video and want to feature it on the stream, you feel free to DM me or join the Discord. The link is underneath my bio. Please stay safe, though. Of course, the rain is far from over, so if it's flooding right now, it's probably only going to get worse as well. Is there a place called Dallas, Oregon? Really? Let me look into it. If you guys are enjoying the stream, if you wouldn't mind giving a like and appreciate the information, I am a solo creator on TikTok, so all those likes directly help support me. Oh, yeah, there is a Dallas, Oregon. I did not know. Sorry about that. And another area that we are underneath a flash or excuse me, underneath a flood watch. And that goes all the way till December 12th, by the way. So all the way until Friday, Friday morning, I believe, yes. Looking at your local kind of forecast here, you do have a couple of areas, it's in the west of Salem, that have a forecast. Here's one of your river valleys, forecasted to reach action phase. Tualatin, that sounds right. Tualatin River near Dilley. Expecting high, possible action phase, so flooding outside of their banks. You can see already a flash flood warning, or excuse me, a flood warning already ongoing for the Johnson Creek in this region here. We're forecasted to reach possibly moderate phase, at least minor flood stage. What happens if it rains in an active volcano eruption? Honestly, the rain is definitely losing that battle. Volcanoes are extremely powerful. All right, let's answer some more general questions here, see if I missed anything. Here on the Oregon coast, the floods are starting to. Yeah, you can see also we have coastal flood alerts and warnings out for lots of the western coast of Oregon and Washington there. Lahar mudslides, it was very bad. So we're already reporting mudslides and floods. You guys are reporting that right now for this event. If that's true, that is very concerning because, I mean, look, we are just this far through this entire atmospheric river. It ends right here. It's going to go all the way through us. It's only about yay far, so very, very not far. We're live on YouTube, too. See, there's a few people out there, so let me know how you guys are doing. It would be really bad, yeah. And someone said, I'll save you. I don't know what exactly is going on in chat there. But hopefully you guys are appreciating the update. Again, we have a post online that it's just received so much just hateful comments, honestly. So I wanted to just provide a little bit of clarification so we can be on the same page for the storm. I would like to provide the best communication for the threats and answer some questions. Someone said, oh no, the poor beavers on the post. Someone said, yes, this is not natural. That is so stupid. This happens all the time, but not this strong, though. Tumwater, raining hard. I'm at truck stop for day. Yeah, I mean, just a reminder, like, this isn't the hardest we're expecting for this just 24-hour period. This is a 5-day event, but for this 24-hour period, the highest amount of rainfall rates will be coming later tonight. Lahar mudslides because the snowpack on Mount Tahoma would be even worse than St. Helens. Yeah, I looked at some of these snowfall projections for like Mount Rainier. They're pretty incredible, right? Mount Rainier forecast to get 158 inches of snow. Generally 100 plus inches of snow across the entire mountain cap. Really insane. What happens? What needs to happen to turn this into snow? Arctic air, yes, DJ. You really need very cold air, or at least, below 32 degrees. The problem with some of these atmospheric rivers and cold air is usually with these atmospheric rivers is there's what's called warm air advection. So warm air comes along with it. Generally warm air, so it kind of stops snowfall. But if this was, okay, so I'll entertain you. If this was snow, I mean, we're talking about multiple feet across the entire state of Washington, Oregon. It's just not cold enough. Of course, if you have air that's it's colder, it's going to hold a little bit less water. So you got to keep that in mind for your calculations as well. I can look at kind of these other things too. We don't need MLP, but here's a DESI viewer. Here's kind of the projected rainfall rates for the next 48 hours. Oh, I guess we only have 48 hours on this one. What about Maryland? I can just pop the snowfall viewer on there right now. I don't think we're expecting any snow. Yep, not for the next 72 hours. Maryland could see some snow later this weekend, though. Could see a jolt of snow. Nothing that's crazy. 1 to 2 inches, I think, Saturday is something you should be looking out for. Snow into the Cascades beyond higher, thankfully. Yes. The snowfall line for this storm is very high. It's very high in elevation, I should say. So if you look at I-90, you can see most of it is kind of below the snowfall line, maybe just a tiny bit, but in the valleys it's just a bit too warm, which is good because, of course, lots of these highways would be shut down if you got that rain turned into snow. It would be insane. Yeah, very high wind rates coming too. That's something else we can look at on the DESI viewer. Let me pull that up for expected wind. That's fun to look at. So there's kind of two components to this. It's mostly the rain and the wind. The combo can cause some major issues here as well. How much snow does Richmond, Virginia have? If anyone is in Richmond, Virginia, let me know. The forecast is like your actual future snowfall. That snow is starting to shut off, so not very much to add on to what you've already gotten. And then looking at our wind. Let's see if I can get surface wind. Oops. Oh, here we go. So we'll do wind. And then we don't need MLSLP. Okay. So look at the kind of future for wind. And like I said, you really can tell off wind on where that impulse is. And later tonight, expecting that impulse to really get into here. So kind of later tonight. And then you can see another impulse. This is Wednesday. So it looks like tonight and then also Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, another impulse. So generally rain all week, but at least a couple of impulses that will be the strongest winds, those highest rainfall rates, the most dangerous weather as well. 50-mile wind gusts expected tonight in Washington. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty slated. Let's see if we can go on to our wind gusts. So we have wind. Let's do wind gusts. We'll chop these out. Okay, you can see some of these wind gusts. With the key is on the right side, but I'll kind of direct you guys through some of these. This is where the highest wind is, and you can see right here. We'll put the wind on there. You can see Portland sitting at 40 mile per hour wind gusts. That's a decent amount. I do expect power outages. Some of these higher elevations, I mean, there's 72 mile per hour wind gusts. Generally, 50 mile per hour wind gusts. I think so. For most of the region, I think at least 40 mile per hour wind gust is expected, with some climbing into the 50 to 70 range at the higher elevations. So power outages are very much expected. This wind is expected to continue moving eastward. Let's throw the NBM on so we can go a little bit further beyond what we're currently looking at as well, so I can give you guys a better view. We don't need wind barbs just to not make it confusing here. And there's the why we have high wind warnings. So you really see this system very well. Here's right now. Let me zoom out just a bit. We're like on a globe, so that's why it's looking a little weird. And you can see that impulse, very high winds across the Pacific Northwest. That same system is going to race its way into the northern plains. Look at that. We got winds in the plus 50 mile per hour range across North, South Dakota, eastern Wyoming, and Nebraska. That's going to continue moving eastward. I mean, I expect wind advisories to really wrap their way all the way around this entire system. So the system is really strong. It's wrapping a lot of wind around it, and that's why we got those gusts starting to wrench their way into the 30 to 50 range in these yellow regions, Chicago, and additionally they're going to push all the way to the east. So really a coast-to-coast impact possible. I'm in Chesapeake, Virginia. Snow amount. We can get a snow report. So let me pull that up. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, we do have the snow reports. Let me see what we got on Virginia. So here are your latest snowfall reports in Virginia. And generally looks like a lot of 3 to 5. Depending on elevation, looks a little bit different. Richmond, we got, looks like 2 to 3 depending on your location. Well, how about 70 to 90 mile an hour wind in Colorado where I live? Oh gosh, Debbie, that sounds egregious. Good luck with that wind. Okay. Yeah, otherwise, this is the latest 24-hour reports. Some of these areas, some of the high elevations, they're 7 inches. That's surprising, actually. There's Cool Ridge, West Virginia. And Chesapeake, Virginia. Looks like you might have been out of the snow band, maybe. But yeah, there's a general map. You can kind of see. That forecast was actually really good. We kind of went over that forecast yesterday. That verified very well. That 3 to 5 range in the higher elevations, that 2 to 3 range in the lower elevations, that really verified well. You have 7 inches in Boone, North Carolina. So there you go. That's the overperformer, I think, in the higher elevations here in Boone. That's 7 inches of snow. Look how close these are, too. This really shows you elevation change. There's 3.5 just down the road. And then you have 7 inches just up the road, up some elevation as well. All right, again, I wanted to do a quick stream today. So any more questions, guys, or you can join the Rainy Day Weather family. Again, the main stories of the day are that Snowfall is coming to the northern United States, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New England. And then additionally, we have a flood and high wind risk across much of the United States. Flood is mainly going to stay in Washington and Oregon, but the high wind is going to start crossing lots of the northern United States. Here are your high wind warnings right now that are active in the yellow. I am anticipating these to at least be high wind advisories as we continue moving westward as well. Got a question for Ohio. So generally, I don't think there's any impactful weather really coming to Ohio. Northeast Ohio could see 2 to 3 inches Wednesday. Other than that, not really. Okay. Well, I might wrap it up then, because I want to just answer those questions quickly. Appreciate you guys being here. And without any other questions, thank you, Michael, for the follow. Appreciate that. Welcome to the Rainy Day Weather family. Please stay safe out there, guys, especially in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be a doozy, okay? Don't underestimate the rainfall. This is a lot more than what is normal from a system like this. So please, I know you guys get a lot of rain. Please don't drive through flood roadways. Have those emergency alerts on just in case. And Cody with the last question of the day. Central California, as you can see. See if we can throw on probabilistic precipitation. Yeah, as you can see, we're not expecting any rainfall or any systems over the next few days in Central California. Thank you for showing out, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your, now we're in evening. See ya.